let us talk about something a little more complex. We're gonna do a Shenhe guide, okay? Why? Because I'm a broke boy and I want to talk about her since I can't pull her. Okay, that's where we're at right now. She is our newest buffer. That seems to be a kind of character archetype that they've been giving us pretty consistently lately. They gave us Sayu and Goro, and even to a lesser extent Toma, but I wouldn't really consider him a buffer. He's a shielder. But yeah, between Goro and Sayu and Yunjin, they've given us a few buffers lately. But this is our first real 5-star strict buff character. So for me, I guess my first question I had was, what sets are good for her? Because she's not there. If there isn't a set that makes itself apparent for her. So after doing a little research, thank you. Shout out to r/Shenhe mains. They are a great Reddit that will help you with any questions you have on her, like they did me. So the recommended sets, if you're going to go for a 4-piece, which actually isn't recommended for her, which is kind of surprising, the sets that are recommended are Blizzard Strayer, Severed Fate, and also surprisingly, Noblesse Oblige, which is right here. These are the 4-piece sets that give her the most potential use. The excess damage on Blizzard Strayer is pretty okay, even though she herself is not a main DPS. Blizzard Strayer is probably the best way to use her as such. Severed Fate is definitely for a burst support. If you want to have up your burst all the time, Severed Fate is the best set 4-piece that you're gonna get. But Noblesse is for if you feel like you want to buff your team more and you already have enough energy recharge and you feel like you're content. Generally, I would only recommend this if you are happy with your crit rate and you are already using the Favonius Lance. That's my little 2 cents. As far as the best overall set, 2-piece Blizzard Strayer, which for the cryo damage bonus, as you will see here, and then 2-piece either Gladiators for its attack bonus or Shimenawa because they both have 18% attack. So that's what you're looking at for the best sets for Shenhe. I would personally recommend, if you're going to go for a 4-piece Shenhe set, go for Severed Fate, because you can get Shimenawas as well. That way, if you don't like the Severed Fate, you already have the 2-piece collected for another option. Additionally, I don't recommend this per se, but if you just want her to do damage, you could run 2-piece Gladiator and 2-piece Shimenawa for the overall attack bonus, and you could run attack Sands, Goblet, and Circlet, and just give her the biggest attack buff that you could possibly give your teammates. And speaking of teammates, so I always like to have a shielder and a healer. So we will use Chongyun. We're gonna use Chongyun as a stand-in.
Expelling mantra is ready.
So for teams, my top recommendations are freeze teams, to be perfectly honest. The whale version of this team would have Zhongli, the best shielder in the game. Kokomi, the best healer in the game. I almost said the best Hydro applicator, and I know damn well that's not true.
A pleasure to be working with you.
So this right here is the freeze team with Shenhe that I recommend. It is very whale-tastic because all these are 5-star characters. A couple of them have not had any reruns, so this is a very whale-tastic setup. But it is a great freeze team, and it allows Ayaka to make full use of the insane buffs that Shenhe can offer other cryo characters. If you were looking for a mono cryo team, something along the lines of what you can do with Ito, I also have you covered. Now, Diona can be swapped out here for Noelle. You can use Venti here, or honestly, if you don't have him, if you want to be a little more cost effective, you could use Sucrose here. You could use Ayaka here, although I do prefer. So with Monocryo, I would recommend Ganyu here because Shenhe and Ganyu on Monocryo are insane together because you can use Shenhe's elemental burst and it has a decent area, and what you do is you put Ganyu's burst right on top and that melts most things, especially if they've already been debuffed by Viridescent Venerer. So that is my recommended Mono Cryo team if you are using Shenhe here, and Ganyu is the last slot that I'm recommending over there. Next, you are looking at Diona or Noelle.
Oh, how exciting!
You're looking at Barbara. There you go.
We can do this!
Ready when you are.
And this is another, like, this is the free team. If you are pulling Shenhe and you want to use her and you don't have any other 5-star characters, you can use her like this. She can support your Kaya or your Chongyun, and you can have Noelle as your shielder, Barbara as your healer, and to give out that Hydro. And yeah, this can be your team. Is it the optimal team? No, but this is the freest team that you could possibly use Shenhe on. Now, for a bit of a Dolphin mid-tier spender kind of team, I actually have you covered as well. I don't have all the characters for it, but we'll throw them up on screen in post. So the characters for this particular run are Diona, who is easy, freely available. Like, you could have gotten her for free at least once.
Stay close and you
Raiden Shogun, who is getting a rerun next patch. So if you don't have Raiden, save up, you can get Raiden. And honestly, this is for Shenhe. The last spot goes to Eula, who I don't have. So Diona, Raiden, Eula, and Shenhe will make up your new Superconduct team. Is it the best Superconduct team in the world? Not necessarily, but it is a solid Superconduct team that I wouldn't sneeze over, or wouldn't sneeze on. Sneeze at. I wouldn't sneeze on it either, but geez, that was hard to say. Alright, so for her best weapons, this is actually kind of easy because she doesn't have a lot of versatility in my opinion. Like, compared to some of the other characters that we've seen, it's not like you're, dying for a lot of different stats. So what we're going to do, obviously her best weapon is Calamity Queller. That is her 5-star weapon. It is her signature weapon. So obviously it is her best weapon. Next up is the Skyward Spine. I don't necessarily recommend this weapon on her, but it is not a terrible weapon given its stats and effect. Like, this is a solid weapon for her considering how much she wants energy recharge. Now, my last recommendation is the Primordial Jade Wing Spear. This is a great crit stick for her. Other than that, that's it. It's a great stat stick for her. She can use the crit. She doesn't do anything special because you don't want her on the field to be getting those stacks. So its ability is pretty much dead for her. But it's a good stat stick. And if you have it, you can throw it on her. And it'll save you money because it's a good 5-star weapon. As far as 4-star weapons, which is I know where most of you are sitting, where most of you actually care. Favonius Lance. I know you probably are using it somewhere else. You just snatch one up off one of your 4-stars, throw it on her. That is probably the most recommended. That comes most highly recommended. I would say Favonius is her best in slot for 4 stars outside of her. Obviously, for 4 stars, it's her best in slot for 4 stars. Now, next, the thing I would recommend if you're not using it, if you don't use Xiangling or if you don't use it on Raiden, if you are somehow not using the catch, then the catch is a good weapon for her. It is a solid weapon. It will give her significantly increased damage. She's a good catch holder. Not the best, but if you are not using it on your Raiden, if you're not using it on your Xiangling, this is a good place to use it. Now, next, getting into the kind of freer side of things, well, the less expensive, I'll say. Prototype Star Glitter. You can find this, I believe this is crafted. It is an okay weapon. It is probably the last weapon I would recommend for general use on Shenhe. Like if you're gonna use your Shenhe on any old team and you want to be able to throw her on and let her work, this is what I recommend. Now, let's talk about a little bit of an outside option. The Lithic Spear. Now, I don't normally recommend the Lithic Spear, but there are some pretty unique scenarios with Shenhe and some pretty niche and powerful teams that would allow you to make great use of this weapon. So if you have a Lithic Spear, if you don't have the other weapons, or if you have a Lithic Spear and you want to use a leeway team already, then that's a good weapon for you. Or if you notice your team has 2 to 3 leeway characters, like if you're using Zhongli and Ganyu with your Shenhe, then this is a good weapon for you. Even if you're not using like Chi-Chi as your healer, but if you are, that helps. So I like this spear because it's actually really good for her. I don't like this spear / polearm because it does limit your team building capabilities if you want it to still be a viable weapon. But that's been my overall guide for Shenhe. I mean, running down the list of recommendations are pretty easy. You're looking for my personal recommendation, it's either 4-piece Severed Fate or 2-piece Blizzard, 2-piece Gladiator or Shimenawa. I'm honestly recommending her with Ganyu and Zhongli. Those are like my top 2 character picks and a healer of your choice that fits your team. And for best weapons, honestly, my personal pick is probably going to be either her signature weapon or a Skyward Spine if you have it. And if you're not going for a 5-star, I'm going to tell you just use a Favonius Lance. And those are my Shenhe recommendations. This has been my Shenhe guide, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you disagreed with anything, and I hope to see you guys around. Have a good one.